McDonald's is one of the most recognizable brands on the planet. Golden Arches, Big Macs, Happy Meals, fries. For decades, McDonald's seemed almost impossible to beat. But something has changed. Customers are walking away. And the strange part is, McDonald's has been trying to win them back with cheaper food. The problem? Cheap food alone isn't working anymore. In the second quarter of 2026, McDonald's U.S. comparable sales grew just 0.8%, below expectations, while global comparable sales increased only 1.3%. Meanwhile, Burger King reported an incredible 8.5% increase in U.S. comparable sales. Reuters. So how did one of the biggest fast food businesses in the world end up struggling to get people through the door? And more importantly, to understand what's happening, we need to go back to what made McDonald's so successful in the first place. McDonald's didn't become a global giant simply because people liked burgers. It built an incredibly efficient business machine. Fast service, simple menus, cheap ingredients bought at huge scale, franchisees running restaurants, and eventually one of the most powerful brands in the world. By the end of 2025, McDonald's system-wide sales had reached more than $139 billion, and its loyalty program had nearly 210 million active 90-day users across 70 markets. McDonald's Corporation. So this isn't a company that's suddenly collapsing, far from it. But the problem is that customers are starting to question whether McDonald's is still worth the money, and that is a much bigger problem. For years, McDonald's had a very simple proposition. You could get a quick meal for relatively little money, but inflation changed the equation. Food costs increased, labor costs increased, operating costs increased, and menu prices went up. Suddenly, the customer who used to think, "I'm too tired to cook, I'll just get McDonald's," started thinking, "Wait, why am I paying this much for fast food?" That's where the problem begins, because McDonald's isn't competing only against other burger restaurants anymore. It's competing against supermarkets, delivery, local restaurants, coffee shops, and thousands of other cheap or convenient food options. And customers don't necessarily want the cheapest meal. They want the meal that feels like the best deal. That's a very different thing. McDonald's knew customers were becoming more price sensitive, so it started pushing value, deals, discounts, meal bundles, digital offers, and its McValue strategy. The company even launched a menu built around items priced below $3 in the U.S., Seattle Post-Intelligencer. On paper, this makes perfect sense. If customers think McDonald's is too expensive, make it cheaper. But there was a problem. Customers were getting overwhelmed. Different deals, different apps, different promotions, different conditions, and some customers couldn't even figure out which deal was actually the best. McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski acknowledged that execution around value promotions had become a problem. And in Q2, the company said a reduction in digital deals contributed to fewer visits from some loyal, lower-income customers. Reuters. This is the important lesson. A discount isn't automatically good value. If customers don't understand the offer or don't believe they're getting enough for their money, the discount doesn't matter. And this is where things get interesting. Because while McDonald's was struggling to get its value strategy right, Burger King started gaining momentum. In the second quarter of 2026, Burger King's U.S. comparable sales jumped 8.5%, dramatically outperforming McDonald's. Reuters. And it wasn't simply because Burger King made everything cheaper. The company focused on several things: value deals, restaurant remodels, marketing, and most importantly, the actual food. Burger King revamped its famous Whopper, improving things like the bun, mayonnaise, and packaging. The company said the changes helped bring back customers who had stopped visiting. The times. And that's a huge lesson for McDonald's. Customers don't just want a cheaper burger, they want a burger they actually want to buy. So here's what I think is really happening. McDonald's has spent years building one of the world's most powerful fast food machines. But the machine became so big that keeping it simple became difficult. Think about the average McDonald's customer. They don't want to analyze a pricing strategy. They don't want to compare 5 different promotions. They don't want to calculate whether buying 2 items separately is better than buying a meal. They want to walk in, see something they want, pay, and leave. That's it. And when the experience becomes complicated, customers have plenty of alternatives. That's why this isn't just a pricing problem, it's a value perception problem. McDonald's needs customers to feel like, I'm getting something good for my money, not, I'm getting something cheap. There's a difference. The good news for McDonald's is that the company knows it has a problem, and it's already making changes. McDonald's has brought back selected digital offers, increased its focus on loyalty promotions, and changed the way it's approaching value. The company has also appointed Skye Anderson to lead its U.S. business, replacing Joe Erlinger, Reuters. And McDonald's isn't abandoning innovation either. The company has been expanding its drinks business and experimenting with new menu items and experiences because ultimately McDonald's needs to give customers a reason to come back. And that reason can't always be, here's another discount. It could be better food, better service, faster ordering, better rewards, better restaurants, or simply something new. And this is where the McDonald's story becomes bigger than McDonald's. Because there's a lesson here for almost every business. When customers start complaining about price, the natural reaction is to offer a discount. But that's not always the solution. Imagine you run a clothing brand. Your customers say you're expensive. You cut your prices by 20%. Sales increase for a while, but eventually, customers get used to the discount. Then you need another discount, and another. And suddenly, you've trained your customers to only buy when something is on sale. That's dangerous. The strongest businesses don't just compete on price, they compete on perceived value. Apple does it, Nike does it, luxury brands do it, and McDonald's has done it for decades. The challenge now is making customers believe that a McDonald's meal is worth paying for again. So, is McDonald's finished? Absolutely not. This is still one of the biggest restaurant businesses in the world. It has an enormous franchise network, a globally recognized brand, hundreds of millions of loyal customers, and a business model that has survived generations of competition. But the fast food industry is changing. Customers are more price conscious. Competition is getting smarter. And simply throwing discounts at the problem isn't enough anymore. Burger King is showing that there is another way. Give people value, improve the product, improve the experience, and give them a reason to come back. Because ultimately, McDonald's doesn't have a burger problem, it has a value problem. And the next few years will show whether the Golden Arches can convince customers that they're still worth the money. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more stories about the businesses, brands, and money-making machines behind the world we see every day. Because behind every famous company, there's a story about how it makes its money.